Well, welcome back to a study through the book of Genesis. Today we are in Genesis chapter 26. And this chapter is almost exclusively about the life of Isaac. He faces the same struggles that his father Abraham faced. He faces famine, he faces fears, he faces conflict about the land, he faces interactions with the foreign kings that he is coming across. But one thing is very, very consistent in the entire account that we're going to read here today is God remains faithful despite the circumstances, instances, struggles, fears, conflicts that we encounter or face. Read with me Genesis chapter 26. Now there was a famine in the land, besides the former famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Gerar to Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, and the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Dwell in the land of which I shall tell you. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you, and will bless you, for to you and to your offspring I will give all these lands, and I will establish the oath that I swore to Abraham your father. I will multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven, and will give to your offspring all these lands. And in your offspring all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws." Now, God tells Isaac to stay in the land instead of going down to Egypt. This reaffirms the covenant that God made with Abraham, that I will be with you, I will bless you, and I will bless all the nations through you. Isaac also, he encounters the same circumstances that he is going through. And the lesson that we glean here is God's presence is greater than the circumstances that we encounter. God's presence must be the objective aim and goal of our life, irregardless, irrespective, in spite of the circumstances that we go through. Verse 6 says, "So Isaac settled in Gerar. When the men of the place asked him about his wife, he said, 'She is my sister,' for he feared to say my wife, thinking, lest the men of the place should kill me because of Rebekah, because she was attractive in appearance. When he had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out of a window and saw Isaac laughing with Rebekah, his wife. So Abimelech called Isaac and said, 'Behold, she is your wife. How then could you say, she is my sister?' Isaac said to him, 'Because I thought, lest I die because of her.' Abimelech said, 'What is this you have done to us? One of the people might easily have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us.' So Abimelech warned all the people, saying, 'Whoever touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death.' Now, Isaac lies about Rebekah out of fear. Now, this is just amazing, because his father Abraham also lied about Isaac's mom, Sarah, that she was his sister, and both are motivated by fear. And it just shows that this man of faith also dealt with fear. Just because this man, man of covenant, man of faith, does not mean that they are perfect. And it does not mean that their imperfection cancels out God's faithfulness. God is faithful in spite of the issues they had, you and I have. This should be an encouragement to you and me. God is faithful in spite of our imperfections. Verse 12, "And Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold. The Lord blessed him. And the man became rich and gained more and more until he became very wealthy. He had possessions of flocks and herds and many servants, so that the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistines had stopped and filled with earth all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father. And Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we are." So Isaac departed from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Now, Isaac prospers abundantly in the midst of famine. The Philistines become so envious and jealous of him, they force him out. God's blessing will attract opposition. Just because God blesses you does not mean you are exempt and you are not going to face envy, criticism, jealousy, and all kinds of conflict and opposition. The blessing should make us expect opposition. And this is what you see with Isaac. He faces opposition, criticism, envy, jealousy, so much so that he's forced out of this land, not because he has offended them, attacked them, taken from them, but simply because he's become so blessed that they are now envious of him. And this king, Abimelech, he says, "Go away from us, for you are mightier than we are." You have become so blessed that now we are a threat. We should expect opposition even when we have God's blessing. Verse 17 says, "So Isaac departed from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. And Isaac dug again the wells of water that had been dug in the days of Abraham his father, which the Philistines had stopped after the death of Abraham, and he gave them the names that his father had given them. But when Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found there was a well of spring water, the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, 'The water is ours.' So he called the name of the well Esek, because they contended with him." Then, verse 21, "They dug another well, and they quarreled over that also. So he called its name Sitnah, and he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, saying, 'For now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful of the land.'" Now, it's amazing that he faces so much contention and hostility because he is simply digging wells for himself and his family. He is not trying to cause conflict. He refuses to choose conflict with these people. He over and over and over, when he digs and they fill up these wells that he digs, he chooses peace over conflict. He refuses to go down to their level. And we see here an essence, a level of humility that is admirable in Isaac. He chooses peace over and over and over. Even though God's blessing attracts resistance, God's favor still remains on him. And he chooses peace and peace over and over and over. And what we learn from Isaac is this: instead of engaging in conflict when faced with opposition, resistance, jealousy, envy, criticism, he chooses to trust God. And one of the lessons we can learn from Isaac is this: not all conflict requires for us to engage. We don't have to always engage. Notice he moves away from these people multiple times. Every time they cause conflict because he finds water, he digs a well, they come and demand that well back. He digs it over and over and over. Several times he does this. And they come and steal it. Really, that's what they're doing. They steal it from him, forcibly take possession of what rightfully belongs to him. But this man displays remarkable humility, teaching us that not all conflict must be engaged in confrontation. Not all fights require for us to engage. Oftentimes, we just walk away for the sake of peace and avoid the conflict. It is not weakness, it is wisdom. And more importantly, it is an expression of the trust we have in God. That you are taking this from me, I won't force you to keep it. I won't forcibly take it back. I will trust that God not only will, one, fight for me, but two, he will provide for me. Verse 23. From there he went up to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of Abraham, your father. Fear not, for I am with you and will bless you and multiply your offspring for my servant Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called upon the name of the Lord and pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants dug a well. I love this. God says, do not be afraid, for I am with you. That's what God says to him. Isaac responds to God's word by saying, I am really going to trust in you. In essence, that is what Isaac does. He responds to God saying to him, I am with you, in worship. It's just, it's an expression of surrender. It's Isaac saying, I trust in you. Regardless of the circumstances and instances that are surrounding me, I trust you. He surrenders. He worships, which is the highest expression of obedience, surrender. How we respond to God's word should always be in surrender. Verse 24. Actually, verse 26. When Abimelech went to Gerar with Ahuzah, his advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his army, Isaac said to them, why have you come to see me, seeing that you hate me and have sent me away from you? They sent him away from him, remember? They sent him away. He wanted him to leave, but now they're coming to look for him. And we're going to find out why. They said, we see plainly that the Lord has been with you. So we said, let there be a sworn pact between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we have not touched you, and have done to you nothing but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the Lord. So he made them a feast, and they ate, and they drank. In the morning they rose early and exchanged oaths. And Isaac sent them on their way, and they departed from him in peace. That same day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well that they had dug, and said to him, we have found water. He called it Shibah. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he took Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, to be his wife, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they made life bitter for Isaac and Rebekah. All right, several things. Let's talk about some of these things we see here. Isaac responds in worship to what God says, but then Abimelech recognizes that God is with Isaac, and so he comes to make a covenant of peace with Isaac. And it's just a lesson to us that a faithful life of obedience lived out among people is a testament to faith in God. When people see how you and I are doing life, it testifies of our faith in God, our trust in Him, our surrender to Him. And this is what happens. Abimelech recognizes. Remember Abimelech? He chased Isaac away because Isaac had prospered so much. He was threatened by Isaac, envious, jealous. But now he recognizes, because Isaac has not responded to all the conflict they were inflicting on him, stealing his wells over and over. He has not responded to that conflict in turn. He has not repaid conflict with conflict. He has repaid conflict with peace over and over. And so this has ministered to Abimelech. And he looks and says, man, this guy, God is with him. And he wants now to be attached to Isaac because he sees God's presence in Isaac's life and he wants a part of it. And that's how people should see us. They should see us and desire to have what we have. Now, the chapter closes with an interesting note about the carelessness of Esau. Now we see Esau's heart revealed. See, the priorities of a person, you and I, reveal what is really in our heart. And here, clearly, Esau's priorities are laid bare for all to see. He marries pagan women in contrast to his brother, his father, his grandfather, and he knew that this was not God's will. But what we see here is spiritual carelessness displayed by Esau. Spiritual carelessness. But what we can learn here is God's faithfulness does not change. We see it clearly displayed in the life of Isaac. Isaac chooses to surrender, to walk in trust, and God's faithfulness is revealed in his life over and over and over. And you and I can learn that in famine, in failure, in conflict, in blessing, we are to remain faithful to God. We are to remain surrendered to him. And he is always going to remain faithful to us irrespective of how we are. But if we trust him, if we pursue him, if we worship faithfully and live as a witness to his grace, we attract people to him, point people to him, and we draw closer to God, and we get the greatest blessing of all humanity, which is the presence of God in our life. Next week, chapter 27, Isaac blesses Jacob and all that entails. I hope you will join me. Shalom. See you on the next one.